The times have changed, so has the delivery of news. We believe local news needs to be easily accessible. Hey, Owensboro, get with the times. Subscribe today at owensborotimes.com.
Hi, I'm Matt Castle with Castle Steel.
And I'm Daniel Dick with Daniel Dick State Farm.
And we're proud to partner with Owensboro Times.
It's never been more important than now to meet the candidates.
It's a vital part of our republic democracy for candidates to come forward and run for public office. I'm grateful for the individuals willing to run on the issues that are important to them and this community. Thank you for your willingness to serve the people of Owensboro.
Lastly, we want to thank you for joining us.
The town hall begins now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Owensboro Times Primary Election Town Hall. I'm Jake Boswell. I'll be moderating the event today. First, we'd like to explain the format to everybody watching here in person and online. Candidates drew for their spot on stage upon arrival today. Candidates were given topics ahead of time, but specific questions are going to be asked for the very first time to these candidates during the event. Candidates are going to have 60 seconds to answer each question, and the order in which candidates respond will be reversed for each question. Each candidate will also be given 60 seconds to deliver a closing statement. The community's input was factored heavily into the formation of these questions to make sure that we address topics that are most important to you. Guests are not going to be allowed to ask candidates questions during the event today, and guests here in attendance at the Bluegrass Hall of Fame and Museum, please hold your applause until the forum for this race ends. In the second of 9 segments today, we're going to be joined by the 2 candidates for Davis County Property Valuation Administrator. Let's introduce you to our candidates, and then we'll get started. Joining us are Rachel Foster and Jason Pagan. Thank you both for being here with us. Our first question today is going to go to Ms. Foster. A number of people may see this race on the ballot and not fully understand what the PVA does. So why is the office important?
The Property Valuation Administration assesses all real property in Davis County. The office is very important. Experience is very important when it comes to this office. No one speaking today, minus the judicial candidates, can do their job without first the Property Valuation Administration doing their job. If these numbers aren't assessed correctly through Department of Revenue standards, certified, tax rates cannot be set, collections cannot begin. So everything starts at the PVA office. Very important.
And Mr. Pagan, the same question to you. A number of people may see this race in the ballot and not fully understand what the PVA does. Why is the office important?
It's very important if you own property and or vehicles, because every year when you get your tax bill in the mail from the city and or the county, your tax bill is based on what the PVA assesses your property at. They don't have anything to do with the tax rates, but that is what your bill is based on, what your land and vehicles valued at. So it affects everybody in this county directly. It's probably one of the most important races we have because it affects you every single year. And it's something that people need to take notice of and do some research.
And Mr. Pagan, our second question is going to go to you first. What assessing or appraising experience do you bring to the PVA office?
I have 0 assessing and appraising experience. What I do have is an accounting background. I know how properties and values should go up or should not. I have a list of stuff I'm going to be putting on Facebook and my website tonight of several properties over 50 in Davis County that quite literally have not gone up a dime in 17 years. So I think that needs to be addressed, and some people's are going up every 4 years. I think it needs to be more fair.
Ms. Foster, the same question to you. What assessing/appraising experience do you bring to the PVA office?
I started in the office in 2002 as a field, actually assessing vehicles. 6 months later, moved to the field, promoted field staff supervisor, and then elected property valuation administrator in 2014. I was actually appointed in 2013 to fulfill my predecessor's unexpired term. I hold my senior Kentucky assessor's designation, my senior Kentucky assessor's designation. I have a Bachelor of Science from WKU. I also am the current PVA budget chair of our association, the PVA Association. Like I said, I've been in there 20 years. I've assessed property for the past 20 years.
Let's move along to our next question, and the first person to be able to answer it, Ms. Foster, will be you. What would your process be for assessing property values, both in terms of homes and vehicles?
Okay, I'm going to start with vehicles, only because those are put in through NADA standards at the Department of Revenue level. So they're put in at the state level, and then we manage those values. So if someone has a problem with the assessment or it has high mileage, they come in, speak to us, and we can change those, but those original assessments are put in by guidelines at the state level. Real property is assessed. The best method, there's 3 methods to assessing property: the income, sales, and cost. And the best method to assess real estate is, of course, a sales approach. And there have been plenty of sales in the area to justify the assessments that are on the properties currently. Thank you.
Mr. Pagan, I'll ask you the same question. What would your process be for assessing property values, both in terms of homes and vehicles?
I would have to agree with what Rachel said on the vehicles. It's pretty straightforward. The only thing I can add to that is that I paid my taxes in January and I just received my refund today. So I think there's some confusion that went along in Frankfurt on the last assessments. The people did not know they could go to the PVA's office and have their car reassessed. If you have damage or high mileage, stuff like that, it's possible for that to be lowered, and the PVA has that authority to do that. As far as the housing goes, the sales approach, I agree with her also, is the best way. Where I differ in her opinion is that I feel that if you're going to assess everybody's property on that, then everybody should be assessed on that. There shouldn't be a select group that is not being raised.
Mr. Pagan, our fourth question is going to be your first opportunity to answer. How will you ensure transparency in the process that you just described, along with having a system to contest the values?
I will have an open door policy. I have zero problems talking with anybody in public. I encourage people to come in and question their assessments. I would love for that to happen. I have the audit report from Rachel in 2020 where, as her experience goes, she failed to send the city of Whitesville their tax bill for that year. And the findings were that the PVA never sent Whitesville the bill. So I believe with somebody with that type of experience should be more apt to do what they're supposed to do when they're getting audited. I'll make sure that doesn't happen.
Ms. Foster, your opportunity to answer the same question. How will you ensure transparency in the process that you described a minute ago, along with having a system to contest the values?
Yes, transparency is very important. As soon as I took office in 2013, I made sure the website was open to anybody that wanted to get on there. So the website's free. I'm one of only a handful of counties in Kentucky that offer that. It is utmost important. They can get on there. They can look at their house. They can look at, just with a couple of clicks of a button, they can see what homes have sold like their homes. It's very important to educate the public, create a excellent, open environment, friendly environment. Sometimes if you don't know exactly what the PVA office does, you need to explain that, encourage them to come in. I encourage phone calls, emails. I try to talk to several civic organizations explaining what I do. If they can't come to me, I go to them. So the best way is for everyone to understand exactly what the PVA office does.
And this is our final question of what we have put together. Ms. Foster, it'll be your first opportunity to answer. Aside from the assessment process, are there any other ideas of what you think can be improved within the PVA office?
Sure, there's always room for improvement in any office. I've done several. I've digitized all of the sketches. So it used to be that everything was hand-drawn. It's now done by computer. It's now measured by laser. Aerial mapping, I'm the one that's in I'm the one that has signed the agreement with the consortium for aerial mapping every 2 years. I take care of that, make sure we get it done. Also, I've got got rid of all of the property cards that were they're handwritten, streamlined workflow. There's always room for improvements. I'm always improving the website. Just this past month, I included, after working with the clerk, I included where you can look up a plat of your property and the deed of your property through my website. So very important there again, transparency and making sure everybody understands. And so I've been really trying to promote that. Thank you.
And Mr. Pagan, aside from the assessment process, are there any ideas that you have for what can be improved in the PVA office?
Yes, sir. I believe there's room for improvement. Rachel's done a good job on getting some stuff started. I think that the free website can be improved. There needs to be a database created to where all the property cards going back to whenever the house was built need to be on there and be able to be searchable instead of looking at a picture and having to go through and find them. I believe that if you're gonna do the website, it needs to be accurate. And I had a meeting a while back where I had discussed putting the plats and deeds and stuff on there, which that has recently happened. I also mentioned putting the HOA fees or the associations where if you're in a homeowner's neighborhood, that information should be available as well. And I think there's room for improvement.
Well, that concludes all the questions that we have prepared for you guys. Now we will give each of you an opportunity to give your closing statement. And Mr. Pagan, you have the first opportunity to give your 60-second closing statement.
I'm going to go over 3 examples that deal with my opponent's experience and accuracy of assessments. The first one is a home here in Davis County that for the last several years has been assessed at $3 million. It recently sold this year at $6.5 million, $6.6 million to be exact. I think a $3.5 million discrepancy is a little out of line and it's not acceptable. I'm going to go to my street. There's a house 8 houses down from me that sold in 2014 for $999,000 and has not gone up a dime in 8 years. On the same street, if you go 14 houses the other way, there's a house that sold in 2006 for a little over $600,000. It has not gone up a dime in 16 years. So there's a word for that, and I'm going to leave that up to the audience and the viewers to figure out what that is, but I'm going to be posting over 50 properties such as these on my jasonpaganforpva.com website and my Facebook page for you to view yourself.
Ms. Foster, you have the same opportunity, 60 seconds for your closing statement.
Yes, thank you. The 3 things that I'm running on is experience, accuracy, and transparency. I also want to mention that I'm endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police, Owensboro Lodge 16. I'm the only candidate for PVA supported by the Greater Owensboro Realtor. I'm a member of the Owensboro Noon Rotary, Impact 100 Owensboro member, and the current budget chair of the State PVA Association. This job needs someone with experience. I had someone tell me, another PVA said that if someone elected that doesn't know exactly how to assess property, especially the commercial property, it would set our office back 10 years. I couldn't agree with you more. The examples that my opponent is talking about, I guarantee you that if you come talk to me about any of them, I will be able to explain them to you. I cannot help if they have paid over fair market value at the time, but when I reassess everyone equally and fairly, and that's what's important.
Well, thank both of you. That wraps up this session today. Thanks to everybody who took the time to watch, streaming online. Thanks to each of the candidates for joining us here. We also want to thank the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame and Museum for allowing us to host this town hall here at this awesome facility. And thanks to our presenting sponsors as well, Castlin Steel and Daniel Dick State Farm Insurance Agent, supporting sponsor, Mudd's Furniture. We'd like to leave you with one final message. That's to make sure that you vote in the primary. You can vote right now and on primary election day, May 17th. Ladies and gentlemen, your candidates for Davis County PVA office. Thank you.